Can I just ask, Mark, about Tuesday night? Clearly, the conditions were less than ideal. Was there deliberate thinking about how you approached the game, and did you see the benefits of it in the second half, or was it just a case of dealing with the conditions as they happened? How did it all work?
Yeah, not really. I mean, we are used to playing in the wind because the Abbey Stadium gets windy from 3 o'clock on a Saturday till 5 most weekends. So we've become quite accustomed to playing in those conditions. It was strong. I think we're in that period now where you're going to get. It was a scruffy first half. The ball was in play 23 minutes. It's 50-minute ball in play time, which is low for our games at the weekend. So, well, this season as an average. So I think that's what starts to happen. Pitches turn a little bit, conditions become trickier, and it does change games a little bit more. It was very much a restart game, so it was hard to get any rhythm, and we struggled with clearances and balls coming off your feet and swirling all over the place. So yeah, really, really tricky in that sense. I mean, we tried to play with the wind in the first half when we can do, just to take any advantage early on in the games, but. You just got to get through those periods. I think the next few months is what it is a little bit, really. So we have an idea of how it might affect the game, but it doesn't necessarily change a game plan too much. The one thing you can do if a team's quite strongly against the wind is make them kick it from the goalkeeper if they want to sort of build from the defence. And we went really hard on them early on to stop them from doing that or stop them from building, and that helped. But other than that, it's pretty much a muchness. And yeah, you got to make sure when you go to Cheltenham you defend your box well, and I think throughout the day, throughout the whole game, we did that really well.
Yeah, the first goal, a good example of putting the pressure on the keeper under pressure, and then the ball not really going anywhere. And as we said many times before, another example really of how you just need to be in the right mental space for whatever random challenges might get thrown at you. And generally, your team have been really good at that.
Yeah, I think when you go, any away game where you're travelling a decent distance on a Tuesday and the weather is like it is, that in itself is just a challenge to make sure you're in the right frame of mind, really, to attack those games. And they're difficult starting games. We knew Cheltenham would come out the blocks. They'd conceded 4 at Wimbledon at the weekend in the Cup, which was out of character for them. And we knew that we were going to have to be fairly solid from the start. And once we found our way in the game in the first half, we had the best chances of it probably. Sam's probably had a better chance than the one he scored. And we had a couple of set plays that looked quite dangerous in. We may be a bit fortunate to go in 1-0 up, but we weren't under huge threat in terms of Dimmy having to make saves and our goal under huge threat. So we were pleased with that. And we felt like the second half was going to look much like the first, really, but it might have been harder for us against the wind. And the first 3 or 4 minutes looked like that, and it was really scruffy. And I said to Gary at the time, it'll be a long 45 if it looks like this. And the fact that we scored the second goal quite quickly, that sort of put them to bed, and we ran away with the game from that point. So we were delighted with how the game turned, and we turned a really scruffy, scrappy game into a really comfortable one, which was probably not something we saw coming at half time, but certainly to the boys' credit.
Yeah, probably the only real downside from Tuesday night, Shiloh Tracy and his ankle injury. At this stage, have you got much of a clearer picture on that?
Well, it's not a great one. He's left in a boot on Tuesday and he'll have a scan today. So we'll just see how it is. It might be a miraculous recovery, or it might be one that keeps him out for a little bit. So we'll just have to wait and see now how he rolls out today. But a little bit of swelling in there. It was a bad tackle on him, really, and his ankle turned underneath him. So we're sort of praying that it's not too bad, because it's great to have him back in the team and back around, having built up over the last 7 days. He's important player for us. So you rightly make the point. It's the one downside to Tuesday's game, but yeah, we'll see how that turns out, and we know everybody else is up to speed and ready to contribute if we need them.
Yeah, it shows how tough it can be sometimes as a young player, and that he's been brilliant this season and really kicked on from last season. Then he gets a slight hip injury, and then perhaps this one being even more serious. It can be tough, can't it?
It can, yeah, but injuries are just a consequence of playing. It's a contact game, isn't it? And it was a game where we had a lot of tackles flying in the first half, and it was a strong game. I thought we were physically good and dominant, and that was a pleasing thing for us. But you have to overcome these little bits individually. You have to overcome those injuries and disappointments, and collectively, you just have to make sure you use your opportunity when you play. The one thing we've done well with the squad is kept everybody up to speed and playing. And everyone that's played in those positions has done really well, made a good impact. You know, Jack come on the pitch, Lancaster, and looked good, and Nibsy's playing really well at the moment. So we know we've got plenty of players that can do those jobs, and they'll get plenty of opportunities over this busy period, Christmas, New Year.
Yeah, and of course, somebody else who's been dealing with an injury for quite a while now is Lloyd Jones, and we've ended up talking about him a lot. Just to turn that on its head and to freshen up the question maybe a little bit, I was just interested to hear from his point of view, to have that uncertainty where at certain points he seemed to be going better and then he's had setbacks. As a player, would you almost rather just have a clear target from day one rather than having the hope hanging there, as it were?
It may be. I mean, sometimes that's easier with your cleaner, more significant injuries. If there's a break, for example, you know the pretty much standard healing time for that. But when things are muscular or anything, or ligament, things like that, they can be a little bit hit and miss. And until you get to real top speed in your training, you don't really know the test of what you can tolerate. So we're hoping he's not too far away, but we can't really tell too much at the moment. He's in and out with the physios and the specialists, and we'll see how that settles down in the next few days. He's with the specialist again on Tuesday. So hopefully when we see him today, he's made a little bit of progress. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But probably won't be counting on him for many of these games over Christmas.
Yeah, and with organising the rest of the defence, is it a case of, with all due respect to Lloyd, you end up forgetting about him a little bit and everybody has to pretend as though he won't be back anytime soon? Is that the best way of doing it?
Yeah, look, when you're out injured, we've got players that you don't plan on them at all. We know a rough timescale of when they're around, and they're still a really big part of the training ground. We try and keep them involved as much as possible. I speak to them as much as if they were in the team and spend time with them as normal, because you can feel disconnected from it quite quickly if you're not in the team. So it's important to try and keep everybody together and try and, there's no one more frustrated than an injured player. They are the ones that are watching everybody else getting these results or playing in these big games and really want to be part of them. So you have to understand that a little bit. But at the same time, like, what's the point in moaning about what you haven't got? We know what we've got, and all of our players that we have got fit and available are good players, are capable of competing at this level and can make us a good side. So we put our energy into building the team around them and getting the best out of them. That's the job of us as coaches and as them as players. Everyone wants to contribute. So we've only signed players that we know who can do that. So we want to get the best out of them.
With Greg and Lloyd both currently out, clearly you'd like at least another body in there. Is that something you could do for the very first day of the January transfer window, or is that unrealistic given the profile of play you'd ideally like to get?
I think in an ideal world, everyone would love to say on day one of the window, you sign all your players that you want. But the reality is January is a rubbish window. The majority of players that are available on loan. If they are available on permanent transfers, it's probably beyond that 6 months of the back end of next season. And therefore, it's in players and clubs' interests to firstly not want to let those players out until they've done their own business. And secondly, wait. The players have got contracts, they're in control, they can see if something better comes up in the window, which is why loads of business happens at the back end. So every manager you hear at the moment talks about strengthening in January and transforming their squads, but I don't know where all these players are going to come from. There isn't that many players to go around. And in the end, the majority of people want similar players, and we know which teams usually win those wars. So the likelihood is it won't be happening quickly, because the window, really, the whole premise of a window is that it does seem or tend to get busier as it goes on. So we're not going to be like hugely active in terms of adding masses to the squad, but we will want to try and strengthen, and there are areas where we think we can be better, but whether we can improve is going to be the challenge.
With the team selection for Saturday, Wes taking his regular midweek break, and I presume will therefore be back for the weekend, all being well. And I suppose, as managers like to say, you've suddenly got a really good problem there, in that you've had a 5-0 win on Tuesday night, and then fitting him back in, it's the sort of problem managers like to have.
Yeah, we've got 17 in the squad, 18 in the squad at the minute. They're all fit and ready to play, and we haven't really played the same team too often in recent weeks. So we know that we changed that. I think we're playing well. I think we've been in good form, and I think we've been really competitive in games. And you can get seduced by we're playing better because we've won a game, versus we were excellent in the Sunderland game, excellent in the Wigan game, excellent in the Rotherham game. The result didn't go our way, so we look deeper than the result. It was a result that went our way Tuesday. We turned it into something that looked really comfortable. But you take into context lots of things, the game, the opposition, and so on. It's important 3 points for us, but you look at the next 3 games, Charlton, Rotherham, Wycombe, you can't get much harder than that. So certainly we'll make changes. Certainly we'll use the whole squad over that period because it will force us to. And it's a run of games now that we can really go and attack. But we can go to Charlton, 25,000 plus in the stadium, who are on fire at the moment, and go there with a bit of confidence and try and enjoy that day and that occasion and take something from the game. And then the players can have a couple of days off for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah, certainly the fans are looking forward to this one this weekend. And with Charlton having changed manager or got themselves an interim manager, seemingly just starting to make good on some of their potential. They've kicked on over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, never good to see somebody lose a job, but you can see that we're right level with each other. I think we're really close to each other in the league, but their form since Johnny Jackson's taken over has been exceptional. But unsurprising, you look at the squad and the experience and the depth of their squad, they shouldn't be mid-table, let alone bottom end of the table. So the expectation there is obvious. 25,000 supporters are certainly expecting to come and see them beat Cambridge at the weekend. But little Cambridge want to turn up and see if they can do something, and we'll be buoyed by 1,500 fans that will love being there. And I hope those on HMS Ironside get there safely and enjoy their day out. But in the end, we want to try and be competitive, and we want to try and enjoy these games because it's another example of what we have earned by being here. And we want to show that we can go toe to toe with the top teams. And there's no doubt Charlton are one of them. And we talk about this often because there's probably 10 teams that should be getting promoted in this league. And we want to try and keep showing that we can have a go with them. So we're under no illusions how tough that game is at the weekend, but we certainly couldn't be going there in better shape than we are.
And just a quick one to finish on the FA Youth Cup. Did you enjoy the game last night? Very
much so, yeah. I mean, we've myself and Ben Strang have been to the last 2 and sat side by side. Both have gone to extra time, both have gone to penalties, and obviously got through both of them. It's a really open game, lots of chances both ways. But the boys did well and held their nerve again and took some excellent penalties, and look forward to home tie against Leeds United in the next round. So fantastic for the players themselves, and delighted for Jimmy Unwin, Tom Powell and all the staff, because I know firsthand the amount of work and that goes into that job and to working with those players. So yeah, they were a real credit last night. Enjoyed the game and look forward to the next round now.
Cool, that's great for me.
Mark, you just mentioned that there'll be 25,000 people in the stands when you go to Charlton, and that squad is looking forward to enjoying this match. How excited exactly are they? Because most of your big tests have come at home. Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton have been at home. So how much is the squad looking forward to the challenge of going to the Valley and trying to get all 3 points?
Yeah, very much. I think we just sort of have that mindset towards every game that we play, really. We played at Plymouth, I think there was 11,500 there, so it's a step up from that. We know we've got some monster games ahead, and hopefully some huge crowds to play in front of in the new year with the cup game and the other games that we've got ahead. So yeah, it's just part of it. The number of people really doesn't make too much difference, but it will be a terrific atmosphere, and you want to play in those occasions. So we've got to turn it into a day where in the end we're going to work, and we've got to try and do a good job on the game, but we know how difficult that will be. But we certainly, if you can enjoy those experiences and not fear them, then yeah, it's something that you can look forward to. And I think these lads are enjoying the platform that we're on now, and are probably looking forward to the game as much as any so far this season.
Sam Smith has been red hot recently, 7 goals in his last 9 matches. What's he been doing that has allowed him to have such a good streak right now?
Well, he's just a good player. So we signed him in the summer knowing this is what he would do. As is always the case with any new player, it takes some time to settle in. He didn't play so much in the early part of the season. He's adjusted to working in a slightly different position in recent weeks. His attitude and work ethic's been brilliant. He's a huge part of what we are now, and really comfortable here, and we're loving having him. So yeah, to be honest, no real surprise for me. We signed a player we thought could score goals, and we've been proved right. But most importantly, he's living up to his potential, which is the main thing. That's the player's responsibility. If they've got qualities and talents, they have to bring it to the pitch every time they play.
The performance against, you've mentioned how good the performances have been despite the results not always going your way, but the performance against Cheltenham was brilliant. I know obviously Charlton present a whole different set of challenges to Cheltenham, but when you have a performance like that away from home, how do you sort of, I guess you would say, bottle it and take it with you to the next road match?
We just do the same thing every day, and we just back the fact that if we do what we're supposed to, then things will work out as they should. I think we're very calm and consistent with the way in which we work and train and prepare. The players will be confident off the back of Tuesday, but they'll know that it's a different game in the weekend and it will look completely different in every single area. So you can't compare those two games, just like you can't really compare Rotherham to Cheltenham or any of the other games that we've played. They're all individual games that can be very different, but we have to bring the best of our game towards the challenge on Saturday, which will be a very different one. In the end, it looks like an excellent result. It looks like an excellent performance, and there are parts of it that were excellent. Certainly in the last 20, 25 minutes when we had control of the game, we looked a really confident team. We were playing against a team that were out of the game and had lost their confidence a little bit in the game. So we mustn't over celebrate the result. It's 3 points, it's a good win, but crack on and get on with the next one, because you're only as good as that next performance, and we know the level's going up and we're going to have to be good at the weekend. So we've got to find the very best level again on Saturday.
Last one for me. Charlton, you mentioned how good they are, and what challenges do they specifically present? What will you guys have to do in order to get the result that you want?
I mean, it's probably really similar to a lot of the times. They're a real attacking threat at the moment. I mean, they played Ipswich the other night and completely dominated the game from start to finish with the ball, and in terms of chance creation, in terms of crosses delivered in the box. They've got an outstanding front two, excellent midfield three, real threat in wide areas, solid defensively. He's changed the shape. They've played 3-5-2 fairly consistently now in the last batch of games and returned some excellent results. Very hard running, very energetic team that are pressing with a really good intensity. So we'll have to be ready for all of those things and defend all of those moments well. And then we have to take the ball and use the ball well ourselves, because they make you defend the penalty box for sure, but you don't want to be defending that for too long a period. So having control of the ball and dominating our own spells with the ball, playing with a real confidence and courage will be really important for us.
Brilliant. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks.
Hi Mark, good to see you again. I'm wondering about the psychology of football, looking at it from the outside. We all know there's a new manager bounce. Was there a FA Cup third round draw bounce perhaps on Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't spoken to the players about it once, and to be honest, I haven't heard it mentioned, but I'm sure that, number one, I know the boys that live together were celebrating Monday night, and I know that the boys would have been on their WhatsApp group, no doubt enjoying that one. But like I said to them, that game's a while off now, and we've got 5 or 6 massive league games between now and then. So whether or not there was, I don't know. I just think we won because we're quite a good team, and we did things well, and we took the moments when the game was there for us, and that will be the challenge again this weekend. But I'm sure that there's an enthusiasm towards that game that is what feels like some way off at the moment, but certainly good for us.
And Charlton may look at you differently now. I mean, a 5-0 win away from home, you go to another club, they'll be probably thinking it's going to be different to what it was before you had that result, would you say?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Obviously, not psychologically in their environment, so I don't know what their opinion would be of us. I think people know that they're in for a game when they play us more often than not, which is credit to us. But I'm also sure that they are in a real momentum at the moment where winning games is just standard for them, and they're ticking them off one by one and making it look quite simple. And they've got a real confidence and bounce about them in a stadium that's really getting behind the caretaker manager, who somehow hasn't got the job yet because he's turned them around in magnificent form. And I'm sure that they'll come into the game seeing this is one that they can continue their winning run on. Our job is to try and make sure it isn't as easy as that for them.
Quite a nice symmetry there. You mentioned Johnny Jackson. I mean, I think you joined in 2011 at Cambridge. He joined Charlton 2010. You've both come up through the ranks in different ways. Obviously, he's played a ton of games for Charlton. You're both young managers with aspiration. It's nice to know that there is longevity in football in what is a short-term business, would you say? I'm not even sure there's a question there, really. I just like talking to you, but
Johnny Jackson's a lot better at football than I was.
But you know what I mean.
He's done a brilliant job there, and yeah, look, he looks a perfect fit for the job, and I think the supporters think that, and it looks like he's well placed to land that position. So yeah, I think there's a slight change across quite a few clubs at the moment. I've said this recently. People that are club people that understand the philosophy of a club and can build a culture of really knowing what it is and building something with the long term in mind, because I think the constant churn and change in football is something that is one of the reasons why football is so unsustainable, and trying to change that dynamic is really important. And I think that's starting to happen across a few clubs. We're probably an example of that. And the challenge is to stick with those things when things are difficult, because if you've got the right people and the right idea, then you just have to play the long game with it. And yeah, certainly they're in a position now where it looks like they're working towards that sort of sustainability.
Yeah, that was my point. You're two good examples of that, yeah. Okay, that's all from me, Mark. Thanks very much. Good to speak to you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, has anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, just sorry. I thought someone else was going to jump in before me there. Sorry, Mark, just a quickie regarding the PM's announcement yesterday about COVID passes and lateral flow tests and all that sort of stuff. Looking at your home crowds this season, they've been fairly strong. Do you expect them to be affected going forward?
To be honest, Donny, I wouldn't know. I'll put the team on the pitch and hope that people come and watch it. That's sort of my job, and what implications that has, obviously practically on the club and on supporters in terms of being able to come, and psychologically on whether they feel comfortable to come. We'll have to wait and see. One thing I'm certain is I hope it doesn't impact the crowd at St James's Park in January, because that would be a big hit to us for what could be financially really good for the club. So yeah, look, hopefully people feel comfortable enough to still come out. I think it's the absolute devil of leadership, really, a muddied message, really unclear, not backed up by consistent behaviours themselves. So without getting too political, like, get the messaging clear and consistent so people know what's expected, because the one way you're going to create uncertainty is to deliver that. So I think at the minute, no one really knows where we are or what's going to be ahead, but I think people take that individual responsibility to get themselves right and ready to go to events, and I'm sure the club will do everything that they have to and can do to make it a safe place for everybody, and hopefully people can keep coming, because let's be honest, we've given them a team that they want to watch, so that's important for us.
Superb. All the best of the weekend.
Thank you.